5 minutes ago, when Senator John Kennedy walked into the Senate Judiciary Room, he had an orange envelope in his hand. Everyone in the room was very curious about what was inside the envelope. The hall suddenly fell completely silent. "In this envelope," Kennedy said in a cold and unusual voice, "there are photos that FBI Director Kash Patel cannot explain. We believe they are photos from Epstein's private island. We want to know Kash Patel's thoughts on this matter while we investigate whether these photos are authentic," he said, slamming the envelope on the table. The sound echoed in every corner of the hall. Would these photos reveal America's darkest secrets? At that moment, time in the room froze. Kash Patel's face suddenly turned pale. He rubbed his eyes with his hands and started waiting with excitement, but he couldn't speak. The lawyers next to him looked at each other. The orange envelope in Kennedy's hand was like a bomb. Everyone knew John Kennedy would never bring a case without evidence to the Senate chamber. Every word, every claim, is backed by steel-like evidence. This man, a graduate of Georgetown University Law School, had exposed hundreds of corruptions throughout his career. And now, that orange envelope in his hand could end Patel's career. You should watch the video until the end, because the public needs to comment on the authenticity of these documents. Let me explain how we got to this point. Last night at 10:30 p.m., an anonymous package was left at Kennedy's house. Inside, there was a photo album and a handwritten note. "The public needs to know the truth. The FBI has been hiding these photos for years." Kennedy's team immediately took action. The metadata of the photos was checked. Dates, GPS coordinates, camera models, everything pointed to Little Street James Island. At 4 a.m., he gave his team the order: cross-check these photos with the FBI records. And the result was shocking. These photos were part of a collection that the FBI had seized in 2019 but never released. At 8 a.m., journalists had gathered outside the Washington Post newspaper. Everyone knew that something historic was going to happen today. The hall was packed to the brim. 150 journalists, 40 cameras, and 13 senators were waiting for Kash Patel. When Kash Patel entered, he was accompanied by 8 lawyers. His face was tense, and the area under his eyes was bruised. It was clear that he had spent the night without sleeping. John Kennedy, on the other hand, looked completely different. His white shirt was pressed, his red tie was neat. His law degree from Georgetown, the 23 cases he won in the state of Louisiana, and his groundbreaking speeches in the Senate, all of them had prepared him for these moments. The orange envelope on the table seemed to radiate light. Kennedy took the envelope, slowly opened it, and pulled out 6 10x15-sized photographs. Kennedy raised the first photo into the air. "Photo 1, he said in a stern voice. "Little Street James Island, the 14th of July, 2015. The poolside of Epstein's villa." There are 13 people in this photo, and the FBI seized this photo in 2019 but destroyed it. A wave of whispers spread through the room. Kennedy took out the second photo. Photo 2. Same day, 6:47 p.m. Dinner on Epstein's yacht. 21 people. The FBI also kept this photo. The files were given the code National Security Risk. One of Patel's lawyers stood up. "Senator Kennedy, these charges are completely." Kennedy raised his hand. "I haven't finished yet." He pulled out the third photo. Photo 3. The 22nd of August 2015. Epstein's mansion in Manhattan. 34 people. And here's the most interesting part. The FBI hid this photo from Congress in 2020, with Director Patel's signature. Now the hall was completely silent. The fourth photo came. Photo 4. Manhattan, a private event. 47 people. This photo is marked with the code High Risk, to be destroyed in the FBI's internal investigation files. Fifth photo. And finally, Photo 5. The FBI's internal correspondence. Date, the 12th of March, 2023. These photos should never be published. Director's order. Signature, Kash Patel. Signature, Kash Patel. Now, I need to pause for a second. This video should go viral on platforms because it needs to reach real people. The YouTube algorithm looks at the number of likes. If you want this truth to spread, hit the like button right now. Not just for me, but for the truth. And write this in the comments. Who could be in these photos? Politicians? business people, names from Hollywood? Share your thoughts, because Kennedy will reveal everything tomorrow. Kennedy pulled out the last photo, but this time it wasn't a photo, it was a document. Director Patel, Kennedy said in an icy tone. This document is dated the 8th of June, 2023, a report from the FBI's Internal Investigations Unit. And it clearly states in this report, the Epstein photo collection was transferred to Section 7C at the direction of Director Patel. Justification: public safety risk. And here it is, your signature under this document. He raised the document in the air. He turned to the cameras. The signature was clear: K. Patel, FBI Director. The chamber erupted in shock. Journalists were shouting, cameras were flashing, senators were standing up. Patel, on the other hand, was sitting as if nailed to the table. His face was pale white. Kennedy waited. Everyone was waiting for Patel to speak. But it was not Patel who spoke, it was his lawyer. My client will not answer these questions. There is an ongoing investigation and... Kennedy interjected. Ongoing investigation? You closed the investigation. In 2023. The lawyer swallowed. My client is invoking his Fifth Amendment right. Kennedy smiled coldly. Silence is also an answer, gentlemen. The American people understand this silence very well. If you are innocent, why aren't you speaking? If the photos are innocent, why have you been hiding them for years? Patel bowed his head. He couldn't speak. And Kennedy was right. This silence was a confession. But Kennedy was not finished yet. She pulled out another page from the orange envelope. And now, he said, the most interesting part. He gave the people in these photos FBI code names. Code A, White House protection. Code B, corporate protection. Code C, judicial protection. Code D, executive branch protection. He showed the page to the camera. There are a total of 63 names on this list. 63 people whom the FBI has marked as untouchable. So who are they? Which politicians? Which CEOs? Which judges? He put the page on the table. Tomorrow morning, some of these names will be announced. Tomorrow morning, some of these names will be announced. Let's summarize. The facts we have proven. 1. The FBI seized hundreds of photos from Epstein's island. 2. Director Kash Patel systematically stored these photos. 3rd. The people in the photographs were given protection codes. 4th. Patel ordered the destruction of these documents. 5. Patel could not answer these allegations today. These are not theories. They are proven facts. Tomorrow, John Kennedy will reveal some of the names in the photos. If you want to see that list, subscribe now, because this story is just beginning. The truth cannot be hidden. And now, the real question is this just the beginning? The 6 photos that came out of the orange envelope in Kennedy's hand are just a small part of the hundreds of documents the FBI has withheld in the Epstein investigation. What about the rest? Who exactly is on that mysterious 63-person list? Who are the White House protectees marked with Code A? Which CEOs are covered by the corporate protection in Code B? Who are the members of the judiciary in Code C? And why do they need such strong protection? And the most critical question, Code D, or executive protection, which high-ranking officials does this category conceal? Kennedy's evidence today revealed a truth. The FBI has become not just a law enforcement agency, but also a shield protecting the powerful. Photos taken in 2015 were seized in 2019. Why the 4-year wait documents seized in 2019 were hidden from Congress in 2020? Why? And the most shocking detail. In 2023, some of these photos were marked as to be destroyed, with Kash Patel's signature. So which photos were they exactly? Were the 6 photos Kennedy showed today the ones that weren't destroyed, or were they copies that leaked out of the system? What is being whispered in the corridors of Washington is much more disturbing. According to sources, the USB drive in Kennedy's possession does not contain just photos. It also contains internal FBI correspondence, emails, and most importantly, audio recordings. Whose voice is on these recordings? What instructions were given? Who told whom this case should be closed? Kash Patel's silence today also sends a separate message. An FBI director coming with 8 lawyers and being unable to say a single word invoking the Fifth Amendment. Is this just a legal strategy, or does he really have no defense to offer? Georgetown law graduate Kennedy has won 23 major cases in his career. In each case, the other party claimed to be innocent, but the documents in Kennedy's hands revealed the truth every time. Today, the same scenario was repeated. Now everyone's eyes are on 9 tomorrow morning. Kennedy announced that he will drop the second bomb. A part of that 63-person list will be announced. So, who will be announced? And more importantly, who will not be disclosed? Because remember, the names in the Code D category are under executive branch protection. This means that very high-ranking officials could also be on this list. It was said that the Epstein case was closed, but today we saw that the case was closed, but the truth was not buried. The photos are still there. The documents are still there. And most importantly, there are still brave people who will uncover the truth. John Kennedy showed only 6 photos today. So how many are left? Hundreds? Thousands? America is waiting for tomorrow morning. If you want to see that list too, turn on notifications, because this story could turn into one of the greatest political upheavals in history. The truth can no longer be hidden.